Guru Nation, welcome back to our humble abode. This is a very nice place we got for today. It's actually almost exactly the same room as our meetup we did last year. Eric, you didn't come to the meetup? What's going on?
I did not. I will next time.
You're local. But, okay, next time we gotta have Eric come on.
Next time.
So a lot of you guys may recognize this guy right here, Eric, better known as How To Clinical Research.
Correct.
Right? On YouTube, on Instagram, on LinkedIn as well. I've got Monica here. I've got Chris, and we're going to be talking about getting into clinical research, specifically at the sponsor level. Because you know what? I mean, Chris and I hear this all the time, okay? CRAs that work for the sponsor, and are you a CRA?
Yes.
Okay, so CRAs that work at a sponsor level are much happier. Quality of life,
Absolutely.
much better than the CRAs that work at, and someone said they're going to follow you right now. Yes, go follow them now. So you work for a sponsor, you're a CRA.
I do, yes.
And have you worked anywhere else or just this sponsor?
Oh, no, I've worked at two different sponsors. One for heart valves and another one for neurovascular devices. So one treating essentially aortic sclerosis, and then another one treating durofistulas.
Okay.
So the CRA process is relatively the same to get into any sponsor, I would say. You want to be able to convey that you know the job while you're walking in. So the very first thing is to have your resume on par with the job description that you're going after. Many people have job titles that might be a little bit obscure, and if that doesn't resonate well with the recruiter, they're not going to contact you. They're not going to do that phone interview with you, right? So that's really the key, first number one step is to get that straight. Once you get in, then you have to be able to answer every single question with an in-person interview through examples. That's really key as well. Not just saying that you know this, you know that, not just dropping keywords, but really just being able to say that you know something through a real-world example. It gives trust in you and allows the employer to really resonate well with you and understand that you know the role well. So that's what I would say is the really number one step in getting in. And people sometimes don't convey the message right. They sometimes have maybe the wrong job descriptions in their resumes. You know, they might be talking more about seeing patients.
So are you saying basically reverse engineer your CV for every job that you apply to, if possible?
Absolutely.
Because that's what I've been saying too.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's good people, look, it's not just me, guys. Like, now, of course, we're all lazy and we want to just use the same resume everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And most people, once you get experience, you can get away with that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're starting out, you've got to tailor your resume, especially that top part, the description, the headline, maybe the cover letter to that, if possible, to that employer, to that particular employer.
Absolutely.
What do you think about this, Monica? I know you got tons of questions right now for Eric.
No, actually, I agree with that because I mean, if your CV has to match what they are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't match, what would the recruiter going to be calling you?
Right.
And it will be a waste of time if you compare that. It's like inclusion and exclusion. That's
Right.
it.
That's a great analogy right
Yeah.
there.
So how did you start in the industry?
I started by creating a research site.
Okay,
Oh,
so you were the owner of a
kidding.
research site?
Yeah.
So did you work as the coordinator as well?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, so that probably lends to being able to give the examples that you're referring to, right?
That's exactly right.
Right, so how would somebody who has no experience in the industry convey these examples?
Yeah, so no experience, you're going to have to start on the site level, I would say. Sometimes, some sponsors will hire straight from college, but you have to have, I think, a really inline degree that would resonate well with that particular sponsor, and maybe even have some connections there. But some do that.
That's interesting. So let's talk more about your background, because I didn't know this about you. So you were a site owner first,
Was.
like straight out of school?
Straight out of college, yeah. Yeah, so
Wow.
it was through, because I wanted to be a physician at first, and so I was networking with a lot of doctors
Yeah.
and shadowing a lot of physicians, and eventually one of them was doing some research endeavors
Mhm.
and invited me to participate, and then from there I was able to become a partner.
Wow,
So
no
when I got in, it was very much they weren't really a full company yet. It was just kind of like a mom and pop thing. But
Gotcha.
eventually, it turned into an actual company, and that's when I became a partner. And from there, I made another site, and that's when I actually started working with you. We got your study recruitment services.
Okay.
And then
okay.
from there, I then now am doing research consulting now. So that's a new
Oh,
company.
you were working with us?
Yeah, before.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Did you know this, Chris?
I did not.
Here you go. You're meeting
When was
one
this?
of our
How long ago was
clients.
this?
That was in 2017, 2018. I was working with you guys.
Really?
Hmm.
Were
Were
you
we
happy
good?
with us?
Absolutely.
Wait, let's get on camera. We were happy. We didn't pay anything for this.
No.
Yeah, we didn't even know.
How is
Right,
this possible?
right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. People are asking questions. Who
Well,
are you
I got
interviewing?
more
All right,
questions
go
on
ahead, go ahead.
myself.
Okay. Sure.
Bring
Did
the
you ever
questions
call
to
us
Instagram.
like
I'll
and
ask.
have a conversation or?
No, one of my prior business partners, he had found Dan online. It was like, oh, we should try reaching out to this guy, right?
Sure.
And so we sent out. I think he made the first contact. I think just sent out an email, and then he started He signed up the company with the
Client services?
yeah, the client services, exactly. So we started working with one of your representatives and just filtering through the clinical trials on a weekly basis.
Julie.
Yeah, I think.
And they
that's right.
produce, and you receive some results that way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. What a great testimonial.
Got one last question.
I was
sorry.
totally ready for no, your services weren't good because
I didn't know what he was going to say either. He's no longer a client. I mean, so you did get some studies. Did you guys negotiate your own budgets? I'm just curious.
Yeah. We did.
Okay.
We did.
Oh, because that's how you know them.
That's how
They
I know
asked
them. That's
to
why
negotiate the budget for you.
exactly. That's why I don't recognize you because
Gotcha.
I didn't negotiate any budgets for you. That's
Gotcha.
So if you can talk about how come you're a CRA now? Do you still own that site? Or what?
I don't own that site. Yeah, so I just gone into a new business venture essentially. So
Okay.
working as a CRA was part of the experience I was lacking in the overall
Yeah.
industry as a whole, right? So
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to get experience from the sponsor level so I can be able to better fine tune my expertise. And that's what led me into consulting now, which has been my goal for
I
a long
gotcha.
time now.
So you knew your goal going into
Absolutely.
it. So you weren't that interested in site ownership, but you saw it as a good opportunity to learn,
That's
to be a
exactly
generalist. And then you were like, hey, I'm missing CRA experience. I mean, very similar to me. Like a few years ago, I was like, yeah, I'm missing CRA experience.
Mhm.
We're teaching these people how to be CRAs. So 3 years ago, I got contract gigs. So
Right.
still a CRA because it pays the taxes and
Sure.
Yeah.
does all kinds of cool
That's
stuff.
exactly
But
right.
his route is actually an excellent idea if you have the opportunity to do so, right? Because
Right.
you gain the experience you need to get into the industry.
Mhm.
At the same
Then you're
time,
gonna have to
you're
hire me as a
creating your own business
Yeah.
that actually may be
You're
worth something
Monica's next.
down the future.
That's
right? Down
exactly
the road,
right. That's
Right?
exactly right.
So yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I
let's,
have
let's
a
get
question.
into, okay, ask your
It's just a
question and then
little
I'm
bit,
gonna
it's
get
a little
Instagram.
bit different, I mean, a little bit of what we've been talking.
Okay.
Since you are a CRA,
Right.
what would you tell to the to the owners out there, the clinic owners or the clinical research coordinators to get studies?
How to get studies?
Yeah, I mean, which tip would you tell them?
So I would say networking is the best route. You want to be able to, you shouldn't open up a research site until you actually have some good connections in the industry. I think that's really important. Knowing people that can help you in many different ways, because getting research studies is not really the only thing that you need. You need lots of vendors. And knowing people in the industry is going to help you tremendously. So I would recommend building your network. If you are a CRA first or something like that in the industry, that's a great way to add people to your LinkedIn connections. Keep everyone posted and updated on what you're doing, and then if you see the opportunity to open up a research site, then do that. But networking with other research centers, other people in the industry will get you trials.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm curious, so from when you were, how long were you a client of ours? You good?
Oh, it was about a year. And the company,
Wow.
I think, it might still be with you guys, but
Ah.
from my point in
There we go.
Yeah, from my participation, it was about a year.
And where was this clinic located?
It wasn't actually it was a different model that I was designing. So
Okay.
we didn't have a physical location. We were a site management organization
Ah,
working with different
okay, okay,
locations across like the Inland Empire, San Diego.
I think I'm remembering
Right.
a little bit now.
Hmm.
Yeah, good. So we got you, so using us to get studies apparently works too.
Absolutely.
For those people asking.
It does.
But of course, networking. And
Yeah.
you should, I even tell our clients, even if you use us to get studies free, that doesn't mean you don't network anymore.
Mhm.
Although Chris says half of them don't. to our
Have
clients.
our clients do not, but
You
we-
actually
we
wrote-
recommend to them to do so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean, you wrote in your blog, I think, where you're mentioning that you offer these services. You also wrote that networking is the number one option.
It's all
So
you
that
have.
is absolutely key. I mean, it's proven to work.
So let's get to some Instagram questions, okay, and then we'll talk more about these careers because this is a
Okay.
great conversation. So people are asking I'll go find him. It's How To Clinical Research. Okay?
Right. Instagram and YouTube.
If you go follow him and DM me now, okay, and then I'll make sure I follow you back. Okay, who are you interviewing? So it's Eric Lombard from How To Clinical Research. Lombard, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
He's a former site owner, now CRA and consultant. So a generalist,
Yeah,
if I may say so.
absolutely.
We
keep
were
you
just
safe.
talking about generalists. Okay, so that's that. What degree did he graduate with when he started his site? They're getting personal.
Yeah, a bachelor's of science in biology. But I have to say
Perfect.
that is the item that is least helpful. It's sometimes required to get certain jobs,
Yeah.
not required to build a site at all.
Okay, for a site.
Yeah,
But
for
for
a site.
CRA, it
For
makes a
CRAs,
difference
it
to have a
makes-
science
yeah.
degree.
90% of the time you need a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
bachelor's, yes, but
Yeah.
bachelor of science or bachelor of art? 'Cause people
Bachelor's in
ask me all the
science
time.
is pretty much what's required if you're trying to get a job with a sponsor or even on the site level.
Right.
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 They will accept a regular bachelor's degree. It's not going to just
Correct.
totally
Eliminate
you. Yeah.
Right.
So, your experience, hands down, is always going to be number one. If you don't have experience, then volunteer somewhere to get experience. That's
preach this
that's
all the
really
time.
key.
I mean,
Yeah.
Or join
I just
us.
couldn't be quiet. and
No
let you
site
talk.
owner, let me tell you, no site owner is going to say no to free work. Okay, no one.
Do
is
we
gonna
not say this
that.
all the time?
Free work, yes.
Yeah.
A free body in there, I will say no.
Right.
We
right.
talk about this too,
Right.
because
Yeah.
then people are like, okay, here's my CV. I'm like, no, you have to show me what you can actually do.
Yeah.
Can you recruit patients? Do you even know what that means? No? Can you get studies? Do you know what clinicaltrials.gov is? If no, you gotta learn.
You know what's really helpful? Physicians. So
Hmm.
there's every doctor has a different personality, but some of them are teachers, and many of them actually are teachers. Like at their core, right? So if you find a doctor that's like that, many of them want to teach you how to be a doctor. If they're in research, what they're doing, what it's about.
Where do
This
you
is-
find these doctors at?
Like I said, through
Yeah, that's some
shadowing,
of these guys.
through shadowing, that's where I've been able to find that.
That's good. What is the best? Oh, what is his company? Can you say?
Oh, my current, it's Lumber Industries LLC. That's my consulting company.
Okay, that's his company. What is the best way to get new studies other than clinicaltrials.gov? We just said it.
Yeah.
Network,
Networking.
network like crazy, or DSCS, for
Sign
a
up with
reasonable
Dan.
price.
And follow up.
Yeah. And actually, the really good thing with your service is that it's month to month. So many study brokers, let me tell you, run if they try to lock you into a contract that keeps you not only working with them, but not able to work with the connections that they connect you with. Never sign up for that. That is horrible.
Thank
And
you.
what do we
Dan
do?
is month to month,
Give you the leads.
and that is
Give them to you.
absolutely helpful. Yeah, they give you the leads, and you can keep working with these guys forever, right? You don't have to essentially.
People
be
are
locked
gonna
in
think
with
we
Dan.
staged this.
Yeah, I know.
No, I've been in the
We
industry
really
for a long
didn't.
time.
You know what we got the other day? Somebody's pissed, and they said you ghost wrote a book, and you're a con artist. And I said, I wish I ghost wrote this thing. We could crank out a book a month if we did. And there's people that do that, not in research, but in other industries.
Mhm.
I wish it was that easy.
Yeah.
So yes, no, we didn't stage this. I had no idea. As a matter of fact, they
Neither
might
of us
still be a
did.
client.
Yeah, neither of us did.
All right, more questions. That was a great free plug. Thank
There
you.
you go.
Other than using real world examples, what are some ways to stand out during an interview?
You want to ask them what they liked about you in particular. Why did they ask you to come in? That's going to put them on a positive path in thinking about you. So it's a way of controlling the narrative. So rather than sitting there and letting them ask you questions, what do you know about this, what do you know about that, having them drill you, you should come in and ask them, what was it about me that caught your attention, what did you like? And then start building the conversation based off of the things that they liked about you. That's controlling the narrative, and that will set you up for success.
Yeah, that actually is like going a mile ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're showing them more creativity.
Keep the questions rolling. We're going to keep this podcast rolling. So what would you say is a good way to approach different physicians that are interested in clinical trials to work with you? I've shadowed multiple physicians that just don't want to do the legwork. I have a great answer to this, but you guys go first.
Sure.
Because I just learned this yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you never want to try to force a sale, because that's in terms is a sale, right? You want to get people that are warm, that are interested already. You don't want any sort of cold leads. And so, if you ever watch Wolf of Wall Street, he talks a little bit about this on his podcast,
Oh,
right?
Jordan Belfort.
Jordan
Amazing.
Belfort. So
I told you about that, Joey.
Yeah.
Joey's over there, listening. Wolf of Wall Street, great book, right?
Love it.
Yeah,
See?
absolutely. He talks about that. The art is selling. It says, sell me this pen, right? Doesn't mean you can sell anyone that pen. It means you can sell people that are already in the market for that. So you want to find physicians that already know about the industry, that are interested in it, but don't know how to start. Those are the doctors you want to find. So it might be a little bit of door-to-door, it might be a little bit of reaching out on Instagram, social media. They're out there, you just have to find them. But you don't want to try to force a sale. That's the worst way to go about it.
And you do this all the time.
I have another tip. Join your Chamber of Commerce.
She loves the
Oh,
Yes.
that's
Chamber of
absolutely right.
Commerce.
That's actually the best
Monica
way
loves the
to
chamber.
network
Yes,
with
I've
the
heard this a
whole
few
world.
times.
Honestly,
I did that
it's
before.
just-
That's absolutely right.
It's so good. I'm actually going tomorrow to meet somebody that works only with doctors. So
Oh, good.
that's it.
I love Chamber of Commerce too when that happens. I went to the Dale Carnegie thing with you at
Yeah.
Chamber. So the Irvine, you have to be careful about the city
Mm.
because some city Chamber of Commerce suck.
Mm.
But Irvine seems to be all about, because Irvine's such a great city for business. You have so many biotechs. Even some sponsors are part of
Yeah.
this chamber, right?
Two,
we gotta go.
I know of two sponsors that are part of this
Yeah.
Chamber of
So
Commerce.
we're gonna go to more mixers when they're there.
Yeah.
And physicians. So let me know. We're gonna actually follow up with you now on how that goes with getting the physicians.
Yeah.
So what I learned yesterday from interviewing Brad, a site network owner in Oklahoma, is that like the medical science liaisons, like the sales reps when they come to your office to see your doctor, they bring lunch and they talk about their drug, right, to your doctor. So those people's supervisor is something called a medical science liaison. Those people are the bridge between sales department and research in at that pharma company.
That's right.
Now, so the obvious thing is, okay, you can get studies from them too. It's a little slow process because, they're going to come visit your site, but then you may not get a study for a year or 2, 3 years maybe.
Right.
But I learned from Brad just the other day, he approaches these MSLs not just for studies, because he still hits them up for that, but for doctors in his community. Because the MSLs, think about it, it's genius. The MSLs visit doctors' offices all the time.
Yeah.
So he says, hey, do you happen to know any physicians interested in research that you can introduce me to? And usually they do. They go out of their way to do that. So that's one strategy he found. So that answers Ashley's question, which is a very good question.
It's really good. The MSLs are fantastic connections. That's mostly for pharma, like you're saying. Device sales reps would be for obviously the medical device companies, but from what I've seen with medical devices, the sales reps many times are separated from the clinical team. So even though they do
Yeah, they're not even allowed to talk,
Yeah, they're
right?
not allowed to talk. It's a big no-no. So that's the new kind of reality that we're living in with biotech, at least.
When networking, who should we link up with? Clinical trial managers? I think maybe we answered that a little bit.
Yeah, we did. For networking, it could be anyone that's in research. But obviously, if you're a site owner, you want to be connected with people that can actually get you trials. So it's gonna be like project managers, maybe CRAs. CRAs don't really have that authority though. So project managers, directors on the sponsor levels would be the ones.
But
And
they
by the
can
way,
send
people-
you to the sponsor, to
They
the...
can. Sometimes the
CRA.
monitors, because there's a difference between CRAs and monitors, right? The monitors sometimes have a little bit more leverage in that regard.
And by the way, people are liking Chamber of Commerce. So
Yeah, it's a
you're not the only
fantastic-
one,
No.
and I'm slowly starting to get converted too. I think it's good, and the default should be you do activity,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And
There's not a single right answer to everything. You want to try a
Yeah.
lot of things. It's the same thing with
Exactly.
business or investments. You don't want to be all in on one thing, right? You want
What
to be
I-
able to try different options.
What I like about the Chamber of Commerce is that everybody is in the same mindset. So everybody wants to network, everybody wants to give you leads so that you can get leads too. So that makes it a little bit easier, and then you have like a whole network in one place that and everybody's open to do that, so.
I think it also helps legitimize you.
Yeah.
You know, they know that if you're there, you're legit, and you're not just a random person.
That's
you know, so
exactly right.
That's
Yeah.
also beneficial.
Very good. So now, sponsor level,
Mhm.
okay, working at the sponsor level, it's a goal for so many people.
Right?
You got there because you started at a site, and so you were a generalist. And this is the reason why I like sites so much, is because you're gonna learn so many things that you can go in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to like if you were to start as an in-house CRA, you don't have too many options after that. I
Right.
mean, you just have basically options within that CRO.
Right.
But if you start at the site level, which is what we're telling our CRCs
That's
to
right,
do,
yeah.
I mean, you literally can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when people are new, they don't even know the other jobs. They just know coordinator and CRA.
Right.
You know, so what do you think about this? And then what do you think about working at a sponsor? Like, what's the best way besides working at a site? Like, can they go directly straight out of college to a sponsor?
Sometimes. So it depends on the sponsor. Certain sponsors are open to that. Like I said, though, sometimes you need to have a little bit of a connection. Sometimes to get in on those. So I've seen that happen. It's not the most abundant of people, though, right? It's a small amount of people that are able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So mostly, though, you're going to have to, if you have zero experience, start on the site level, work your way in experience, not necessarily working your way up, but just through experience and knowing essentially every level there is to the industry, knowing what the monitors do, knowing how that corresponds with the coordinators, and that's your bridge right there. Actually, is as a coordinator, you are working closely with the monitors, and you are essentially working in tandem with them, so you do know their job, and that's how you should fix your resume if you're trying to go up to the CRA or monitor level, is by essentially tailoring your resume to match it, because you've already been working with them every step of the way of working on a clinical trial.
Very
So that's
good
the
answer.
bridge.
You have your own YouTube channel,
Yes.
and the links will be underneath this YouTube video and the podcast. And what else? Chris, you got anything? I mean, here we have like a current, possibly current client.
I'm busy conversating with your wife, so no.
Oh, that's very good. Maybe she's watching Instagram.
She is. She's laughing at me. So.
I shouldn't have told her I left already. Yeah. What's the best way to get the attention of a project manager or director through LinkedIn? Directly message them or post content for them to see?
So I could say the way I've been able to connect with that level is just through my prior contacts from being on the site level, because you've proven to be an excellent site, you've proven to be an excellent coordinator, you've proven to help them complete their, the stats that they need for the FDA. So if you've proven to be an excellent site, these people will remember you, and you can reach out to them. And I typically use LinkedIn from that point, and they will respond and they will get in touch. And if they happen to have a study that works out for you, or if they have a job that you're looking for, these are good people to look out to.
But what about for ones that are new?
Yeah, brand new. Reaching out to them, you're going to need to have some form of experience, though, right? So that's where the volunteer comes into play. You have to have experience. You cannot go into the sponsor world without experience unless you happen to know somebody, or you have a degree and know somebody that can link you in there. So what I've seen is if you're going in without experience, the CTA role is going to be the role that you'll likely fit into, and that is going to be a straight out of college role essentially, but not every sponsor would do that. If you're in Irvine, there's companies that do that. I think
No,
Johnson.
none of these people are in Irvine.
Okay.
Very few watching will be.
Yeah, yeah.
Irvine's like so. I mean,
It is.
California. We tell people all the time, you're so lucky
Mhm.
if you're here and you want to get into research. It's like so much easier.
Mhm.
This person who just commenting now, it's crazy how difficult it is to become a CRA. I've been flown all the way out to New York for interviews and still unsuccessful.
Wow.
So
Wow.
What's
East
that-
Coast is tougher.
What's that person's experience? CRC, site level?
I don't know. Comment back. Let me know, or join. Send a request to join. What?
Join our CRC Academy.
Ah, well,
That's the answer.
Don't hear it from me. Hear it
Yeah.
from Monica.
Join the CRC
Yeah.
Academy. That's it.
Yeah, that's true. Being trained on the role by someone such as you guys or anyone that could train them That's another way to help you get in, because you can learn the lingo, you can learn the right things to say. That's a huge key part of it. And going in at the lowest level, like the CTA role, would probably be the easier route. You can't necessarily go into, unless you guys have seen that, where you go into a CRA without any experience. You have to have some form of experience with doing that.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, that's correct. I think on LinkedIn, the easiest way that almost no one's doing, and you kind of need the director or whomever it is you're trying to get to hire you or to talk to you, the easiest way to get their attention is to comment on something they wrote.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like comments on their LinkedIn's, right? But so not all of these directors post. They just have a profile.
Right. So the doctors, from what I've seen, they're very, very busy. They don't spend too much time on social media. They're usually packed with meetings with the VPs, different collaborators that they might have to work with in the industry. So they are very, very busy. They're overworked. And many times they don't necessarily decide who's getting hired. Many times that's up to HR. They can select as many people as they like, but it's really up to HR. And it depends the structure of the company. Sometimes the directors have a lot of power. Sometimes they have none in terms of hiring people. Sometimes they can only put in the people that they like, and it's up to HR to determine who's going to get hired.
This person replied back, I'm assuming CCRC next month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also the lead research coordinator for Intermountain Healthcare in Utah. I have 4 years of research experience, created SOPs for the company, and as of last week. So for you, it just seems like a numbers game. Like for this person, you're just maybe, my guess is you're not applying to enough.
Yeah.
This is another thing, you probably get this a lot too now. People email me or DM me when they're get rejected from 2 places or get ignored from 2 places.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you guys understand, like all of us here, we have like half a century of experience combined. Each of us will apply to 10 places and maybe 9 will ignore our resumes.
That's absolutely
Really?
right.
I mean, it's true.
That's absolutely right. You will always get more no's than you do yeses. I always say that. I mean, I can't tell you when I was first, even with all the experience that I have, right? When I was first going into the sponsor level, it was so tremendously difficult because I didn't know how to convey the message. And that's what I've been trying to teach ever since then, is how to convey the message. It took me 7 months to get a job first, right?
Yeah.
And that was so hard. I can't even tell you how many applications I put in. Hundreds. It was ridiculous.
100, and that's what it takes.
Right, but eventually I was able to unlock the blueprint, right? And that blueprint is matching your resume to the job description. That is really key. You have to. That's your foot in the door right there.
So that's the way we started this. That's the way we ended. Chris, Monica, anything you want
If
to
it was
ask
that
Eric?
easier, then everybody will be in this industry, and then it will be not shortage.
Right.
It will be actually the opposite.
And a video,
Yeah.
exactly, and a video I did yesterday, which will be posted next week, I think, is clinicaltrials.gov for job leads.
Oh.
And you know why?
That's
Because
interesting.
actually she's watching now, Monica Catry, she just got hired as a CTA, like you said.
Mhm.
She's just graduated our CRA Academy. You
Mhm.
remember Monica, right?
Yeah,
She
we
even
discussed
went to
this the other
LA
day.
with us to do the
Monica,
oncology
sorry.
monitoring. Monica
Mhm.
Catry just got hired as a CTA, and guess how she found that? All right, hundreds of applications, all the stuff we talked about, but also clinicaltrials.gov. She didn't just stop at Indeed, ZipRecruiter,
Mhm.
all that stuff. She went on clinicaltrials.gov, and when she could find contact information, sent them a cover letter customized for their company and her CV.
Yeah.
And eventually a big place said, hey, we love this strategy because no one's doing it. And then people see this and they're like, yeah, but that's not what it's meant for. You know, it's like, that's exactly why you should do it.
Yeah.
It's meant for patients, but patients are the only ones not using it, ironically.
Site owners use it. Sponsors use it. I mean, clinicaltrials.gov is a fantastic tool.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I haven't heard of anyone using it in that way. So that's creative.
Yeah.
You know, that's the key
right.
part really, is being creative. You have to be creative.
Yeah, don't worry about getting denied, you know, they're commenting. Because it's, of course, it's discouraging, but just keep doing it. It takes hundreds of applications. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just a numbers game.
Right.
It's just like getting a study.
They need at the moment, right? They're looking for someone really specific, and maybe that's just not you, and it's nothing really against you. It could be that they're looking for someone with a specific type of experience that that they need, someone with a certain type of personality, maybe because they know they're going to be paired up with a person that's hard to work with. It just depends what the situation is. All those determine if they're going to select you or not.
Chris, I'm gonna come back to you again.
You can do that.
This is amazing because we didn't know about the client. But what questions do you have for
I
Eric?
don't have any questions. I'm just amazed again that he was a client.
No, we don't even have a book for him. Or anything.
Yeah.
Do you have our book? Can you give a testimonial of our book?
I haven't read the book. No, I have
Okay.
not. I have not.
I
I'm
We're
saw
gonna
sorry.
get lucky.
That's where I
And I
fell
love
short.
it.
I'm sorry.
We'll get you a book. Okay.
Okay.
And we got to network more. So where are you based out of? Here?
I'm based out of here. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So for consulting, though, I work with sites across the country. So it's been exciting. It's been fun, and
And you'll get more. Go follow him now. How to Clinical Research, and DM me when you do.
I have another tip. For people that are looking for doctors, the other way to get doctors is also to go to the job fairs for doctors, because most of these doctors are just recent graduates, and they have all the passion and all the interest in doing research.
right.
Very good advice.
One more tip too, looking up recent news for sponsors is also really great to bring up when you're talking to them. So they might have just gotten an FDA approval, they might have just submitted something, they might have just, it could be anything that popped up. That's really good to help you stand out because they're showing interest. It shows that you have interest in the company and that you're not coming in there and just trying to be like a cookie cutter and what you're applying. You're
Right.
making it specific.
One of our viewers who's on now actually used this strategy recently for a company, and she hasn't heard back from them yet, but they did call her in for multiple interviews.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's
she used
good.
this exact strategy. And as a matter of fact, she researched them so much, they were like, wow, no one's ever done this before.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
that's
makes
it.
you stand out.
It does make you stand out. And knowing their product portfolio is really helpful. Knowing how it's used, why it's used, its competitive advantage in the market. If you can just talk briefly on these things during the conversations with them, that's a huge help.
And we got Rosario on. Rosario's one of our chief networking officers in charge of getting studies, just like this lady right here. So we're getting studies, and that's another way, by the way, we didn't talk about sites sharing study leads with each other.
Yeah, that's part of networking.
It's part of networking.
That's what I do with my consulting company is I get sites to network with each other. It's a way to help each other grow. It's a symbiotic relationship. And as long as they're not in the same area, they're not going to be able to compete with each other. So.
Right. What do you guys think about this? Good?
Amazing.
Anything else left? Where do people go to your YouTube?
It's How to Clinical Research, and you can find me on Instagram as well. The link to my YouTube channel is there at How to Clinical Research.
And like I said, go follow him right now on Instagram and DM me when you do so we know. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Eric, very much. Thank you,
Thank you.
Monica. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Raul and Joey and Fina. And thank you guys for watching and listening on YouTube and the podcast. And we'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.